In this video, I'm going to cover user accounts and how to create additional users and manage the users that exist on this machine. Like many other things, there's many ways to go and check the user accounts that exist on this machine. Some of them via the user interface, some of them from the command line. I'm going to show you the most common way that works on most operating system, Windows-based, and also the one that gives you the most flexibility and control if you're just trying to get a peek and make a single action like create a new user, delete, add permission, and such. So we'll start by opening the MMC window. And the MMC is where you're going to basically your go-to when you need to open an administrative function and you don't want to click on a specific one, but open maybe multiple ones. You can add a snap-in and then add the computer management snap-in. Once you add the computer management snap-in, this will give you this context of tools. As you can see here, there's quite a lot of tools here, but the ones that we're interested in is under system tools and then local users and groups. Administrative action for user accounts is very common. You would either use them via a local machine if we're doing like a PC technician level, help desk level, or something that you're doing in an isolated machine. But in a domain environment, which is an office environment, you're going to do it via the Active Directory interface, which looks a bit different, but it holds the same concept of a user being a user account that is created and a group that has permissions mapped to it. If I would cover the machines, this machine, you can see that there's a few user accounts that exist here: an administrator, a David account, a default account, which has this little icon that says it's disabled, a Don, a guest, which is also disabled, Hero, Joe, and another account that is not really relevant. All of these accounts, some of them are pre-configured like administrator and default account and guest and were created when this machine was installed, but some of them were created manually by me. For example, if I would like to create an additional user, I can right click here, click new user, provide a name. So let's call the user cool user, give a password to this user, and I'm gonna give it just a default password. And then you can decide if you want the user to have to reset this password the first time you log in. We can remove it for a lab environment and click create. Once this user was created, the cool user was created, it starts as a standard user. This standard user has no special privileges, no high permission. All this user is able to do on default is log into the machine, perform basic user activity like file creation, surfing the web, opening applications that do not require administrative privileges, and basically work as a user level account inside the machine. But there are a lot of administrative actions, especially as you go into IT, that require administrative rights. So how can we add administrative rights to this user account? Well, there's multiple ways for us to give administrative function to this user. Some of them are very precise. We give him a specific right and manage it and map it to this user. Some of them are more complex and go with adding privileges that are grouped or mapped to a group. So for starters, let's go for a second, take a look at the groups tab and see what are the groups that exist on this machine. As you can see, there's quite a lot of groups that exist out of the box, and a lot of them are useless or not really relevant in most use cases, but some of them have administrative function in them. So for example, the administrator group has the full administrative access that is related to the local administrator of this machine. There is another one called backup operators that obviously has some permission related to backups. There's also a Hyper-V administrator, which I'm not going to touch into detail, but as you can see, there's all kinds of map permission here that are already pre-configured and come out of the box. So the new user we created, one of the things that can add permissions to this user, to this cool user, is, for example, if I would like to add administrative rights for the cool user, all I have to do is click on the member of and add the administrator groups. Administrators. Very important to note. And as you can see, when I do the check name, it detects it. And then when I click it, it adds them to the administrative group. Another way to go about it is to go to the actual group page and go to the administrator group or any other group I want to add a member to. Click it and then see the full list of users that have administrative rights. And you can just add a user. Basically, I can write the cool user and search it, and I'll be able to find the cool user that I've created. Obviously, when I click add, it will tell me that the cool user is already on the list, so there's no need to add him again. So that's a bit about user creation, user administration, and such. You're able to basically delete a user by right-clicking it, set a password, rename it if needed, and you're able to create a new user from this dashboard. Very simple stuff. When you do it in a domain environment, the dashboard is very different. It looks like a similar experience, but it is a very different dashboard, and I'll cover it maybe in a later section when we'll go through domain administration. But for now, local user creation and deletion, you should be in the clear, and everything should be very straightforward.